should I choose? How can I help you? You're also here for Mondstadt's wedding, aren't you? Which should I choose? The main radiation in New has the most prosperous commercial voice on the net. You're also here for Mondstadt's wedding, aren't you?
I have to keep an eye on the deployment of guards at all times.
Welcome to Palais Mamoni.
I hope the weather's nice like this tomorrow as well.
Welcome to Palais Mamoni.
I have to keep an eye on the deployment of guards at all times.
I hope the weather's nice like this tomorrow as well.
I have to keep an eye on the deployment of guards at all times.
Palais Mamoni.
I have to
Welcome
keep
to
an eye on the
Palais
deployment of
Mamoni.
guards at all times.
I hope the weather's nice like this tomorrow as well.
I have to keep an eye on the deployment
Welcome
of guards
to
at
Palais
all
Mamoni.
times.
I hope the weather's nice like this tomorrow as well.
You're here! Finally! Monsieur Durvalette and Lady Farina, they seem...
Like I said, I've already explained everything! And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for... It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent...
You mean...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster. I will say this once more. You must... Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near...
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't... But you found them in some...
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates. The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such
I'll ask you again. My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known. There are several indications that you have been This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool.
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know there's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss... Oh!
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling.
I assume you've been out...
Oh! You...
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot allow to continue. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to. We may have to create a situation in which she will have...
Oh?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must...
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging.
We will need to consider this thoroughly. Join forces with If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information... But who will lend us...
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally...
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what family should do.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you,
Me?
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful,
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, has... As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be...
Oh?
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Cloran.
Huh? Didn't you say...
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to...
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
In that case, do any of you have experience
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette,
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into a trap comprises of the following components: bait, so, if we were to build a trap,
for me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you?
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer a more stable method.
And I can be there
with discretion.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract up. I remember that you liked those too.
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not...
That makes sense. You usually... But I do have one more... If we were to create a trap now...
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey.
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the contain... If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must...
Wait, what?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it.
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is... But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going on.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon didn't think the meat. Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. It's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world. Did you just pour some tea? Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea.
Who's that? Wait. You are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything into that so... Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking?
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide. This was good tea.
The voice. Alright. Hey, it's you!
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that steam. Not all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong.
Did she have pink hair?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people...
That's right!
Yes, about what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you...
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon.
The Hex and Circle numbers are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned, but I've never met her. And if she were still alive, she'd be...
Whoa. The Hex and Circle sounds like a scary group.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally...
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler.
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now.
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for, and believe in, miracles. Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel. Perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. I did originally think of steering clear of all...
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work-related stuff... it was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might...
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like... Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by.
Adventuring underground is way more fun than I thought. I'll remind you again. The law can be both a help and a hindrance. Sometimes the law is compatible with human nature, but sometimes the two conflict. Balancing the two is a discipline in its own right.
Adventuring underground is way more fun than I thought.
You want to outrun the law, you need to know how it works.
The case before us is a strange and unprecedented one indeed.
Adventuring underground is way more fun than I thought.
I'll remind you again. The law can be both a help and a hindrance.
You want to outrun the law, you need to know how it works.
Adventuring underground is way more fun than I thought.
The case before us is a strange and unprecedented one indeed.
Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. What's going on? underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede has continued in its noble autonomy. But that does not mean that others cannot interact with it. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report? A blonde adventurer with their white fairy, legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet. Charlotte took so many awesome she hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using... seriously? Well... We're here! Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go. I'm sure it'll be great!
1 slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too?
Wait, did he really say so?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closed?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but...
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to... No, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then...
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression...
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she said that humans are creatures that are sad and eased. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You do...
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon... It's more delicious than last time! And the flavor gets even better with this... Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious...
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
You've got some nerve!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount.
Really?
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motive...
Oh, Paimon, no.
Still, what brings you here all of...
A friend of ours met you a while back, and when she mentioned it, we...
Ah, so you know Miss Mona as well. She's a guest columnist for our paper. Really? So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real...
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journal...
Huh? So you...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper.
Yeah, are we even...
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth...
Oh, in that...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell... Ooh, so much to get done now.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first, and from what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic. But I do love my job. But anyway, that's my...
That's so not... Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of No, Paimon should... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Feels like it'll... But it's still better than the Fortress of Meripede, that's for sure.
Ah, so the two of you are still here.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to... Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Yes, inside the Opera House.
Alright!
Well, that said, Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow in protest against the Hydro.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods.
So what happened after that?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control in that further argument, the Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch Lady for.
So, you mean...
That's right. The Marechaussee has That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't...
Don't worry, this is...
Is that so?
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in... And, as we also know, she may be loud. When Nervillet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, it would be hard for her to ignore... Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity... Huh! Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do... In that case, there's none of... That's Farina, right over there!
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone, I'm sorry. I am so... Give up, Farina. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina.
So,
Farina, you...
what do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they even dare to tout their Archon? I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Neuvillette and those people from the Marechaussee
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? That's against the rules. I can't...
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come...
What?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste... I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep.
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, did it?
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Never lets me.
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the... But all my efforts proved we cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do. Give up. I do love the sound. Indeed. I've thought about fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has but just now. It all became clear to me. I still don't have the right. As long as the final. Don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. I got the. Don't take any of what I just said seriously.
Come on! Paimon could have.
Cher, that's impossible. It was fated right from the start that... A witness. Yes, I've heard that you can... And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through...
You would draw your blade against... I see. It seems like you have made up your...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly...
Lady Farina!
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance. I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world that this time. Applaud and rejoice. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine.
Woohoo! Oh, now... Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this...
All right, then. Who?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning they changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the... Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like... So
you mean...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate...
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first... The volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson was an arc. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we... Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and...
So, in other words, the Earth...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to...
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Chlorine. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Chlorand, I must commend you for your As for you, traveler, I suppose you'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd... Oh? It's fine. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our... Let's quickly to confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see this as a happy coincidence. This is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. A Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. A Fatui Harbinger. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Nervillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the Primordial Sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervy. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead... Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina...
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to it? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must... And if I was not the Archon...
of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble... But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity.
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina.
Well, it is true that it's
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have... One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the...
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your... While the court is in session, the principles of just... You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges.
I never thought...
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rule.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you...
The real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not know why the but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't argue.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power.
My power as an Archon.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or...
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from... Thus did I give up all of my divine power to...
Isn't that...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power?
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't... I'm still the same Farina, please.
If what the prosecutor said is true...
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if you have no evidence of another Hydro...
Wow, she came up with yet another... It has been established that all Fontanians...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use...
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before...
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last... Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood, including those... So, Miss Farina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no... But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard court.
Well, of course you had to tell her that.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single.
What's going on? Is she really?
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina.
What? Hey! I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now?
Miss Siegewing, if you're present, Miss...
Siege, don't be nervous. That should be enough.
Please announce the results.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of... She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed...
Thank you, Miss Siegewing. Lady Farina...
Oh, wait. What did she just say?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually...
I can't... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me... Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the Prime... Also, if I was really just a human, why... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway...
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse. According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What?
No, the oratrice also...
Isn't that correct?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to...
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quickly?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, but now the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means...
Mm-hmm. Any mission.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long... But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense...
Okay, let's try to recall the stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids... Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not...
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women, and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, this might be the reason that... Perhaps what is about the true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervalet mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing? The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into... The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause... if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this... Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass. The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truth should come to light. It now, but then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible.
We're...
All Fontainians were originally created by the late... The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontaine... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, The Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so much. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slate. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher... I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to be... However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true...
So
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death?
This really might be too much information for...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, a key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate, the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, you may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the... Therefore, that the people of Fontaine shall... Yes, it refers to...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small... About the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small... As for the root cause of the catastrophe... This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial...
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw?
So we've met it at last. I understand that whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontaine...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of...
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that harp. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the...
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we... Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed.
We've already done everything we can. We've come so...
Indeed. That's...
I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy, yes. Just as prophecies are usually only the future, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina!
No, I still still need answers.
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing.
You are not Farina.
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success.
Focalors. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. The Heavenly Prince...
Deceiving the...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. She knew full well that and as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heaven. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. I had to outwit the Heavenly Principle. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain. Her strengths were of a kind, but in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human. Anyway, so all part of the plan, of course. Do you still remember the final scene of the In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy, under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of... Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful... I suppose now you probably understand why...
But Farina is only... Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no... I cannot begin to fathom what she is...
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense,
It's been, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely.
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, all right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. Incinerate! Ha! Ja! Ja! Da! Ha! Ja! Ha!
Absurd!
Boom boom! Breath of the flame! Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! Yeah. Boom boom! Farina. Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are— Be not nervous. Be not afraid. Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this— Mirror you, huh? You know what? That— Mirror me? The prophecy. What prophecy? Wait. I know the people will all be dissolved into the water. Oh, very good. What's going on? Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world I will tell you how to save everyone.
Oh, so there. As for the suffering, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side.
I suppose this would also be the justice that Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine.
Play as.
That's right. You must begin If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be...
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without...
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn your... Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already remember. Your true challenge will not be pursuing...
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the but I promise you, all...
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has an... What should I say to most appear like a god? To be... Lady, I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god. As the god Focalor, the god of justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. This... I thought I might stammer, but thankfully...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might...
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone so... Right. Mirmi said that I just need to calm down, Farina. Think. Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all... Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet... Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it... Now then!
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before. Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin.
this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must... No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. On one side, may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the... There is no trouble in this world that justice... So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese. So...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a...
Come now. Was I not just a... Things to... Besides, none of these trials were the one...
If I may be so impertinent...
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. All right. Deuteria, is it?
He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again...
Oh, you're such a gent...
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
Well, as I understand it...
Really?
I'm...
Oh, is that so? Well... The day is finally over, but it's good to see that everything's getting... Maybe this is fine. All right.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the...
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back over scenes I've witnessed in person before.
Lady Farina, I've...
Indeed, my dear
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological...
Understood. Keep monitoring. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame de...
And what a fine family yours is.
Are you crying?
Really now? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No wonder.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by. I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden, although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
Share that's impossible. It was fated right.
But even if your burden doesn't need to, just share it with me.
A witness. And if to that it... He's right. But if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina. But what if... Farina, you've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the...
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive She did very well. If she had let her resolve fall, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. How would you build on this foundation to save...
Ah, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the... I'm sure you've long sensed that the oratories...
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human... It now seems that that person was you.
And then I became one with the oratories, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so. Alas, your understanding of... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise... I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all part of your plan.
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontaine, but only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by...
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet. Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign.
All you've done throughout the years is just...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now... Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principle. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principle stole the power I, for my part, am the god of justice. Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice So, if the theft of the primordial seas then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right... In other words, existence was Egeria's just defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be my Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too, at last. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries, you are a things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Nervillet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
remind you again. What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a...
But since we're all still...
It's time to end this. We must meet out... I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate them. We should seize the opportunity to Traveler. Now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. Come with me, Traveler. The hour of execution has... Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. We shall share a part of the future Guardian's power. We shall look for an opening together. The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Thingy over there. It looks really scary.
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Let the show begin. Go, go!
Thank you for Ad Astra ab...
This... If you ever...